Welcome to Tone Talks. How's everybody doing today? This is Antonio Moore coming to you from Tone Talks. I'm here to have a very important discussion. I'm noticing there's very little dialogue, outside of small Twitter spaces about how bad, how awful, how disrespectful this Woman King movie that's coming out is. I've called for hashtag Boycott Woman King. I need to give it context. I believe that The Woman King may be the most disrespectful film to Black Americans in 40 to 50 years. The fact that they were allowed to make this movie, and when I say they, I'll show the producer who takes credit and says it's her brainchild, is awful. The Benin and the Dahomey traded us into the ocean. In fact, according to Henry Louis Gates, they traded 20% of all of the slaves that went into the transatlantic slave trade into the ocean. I've seen accounts up to 3 million slaves were traded, and you got to understand, we're not talking about when we're looking at plane tickets, and we're talking about massive slave holdings. This movie heroizes, it makes heroes out of those people that created our oppression right along with white folk. The fact that can't nobody in media, can't none of the Black orgs even say anything should have you in an uproar, but it doesn't. You blank-eyed. You sitting around like this is a game. You acting like this is all gonna work itself out. You telling me, isn't it good that we see a Black superhero on screen? You acting like you a fool. Come on. But I'm not here to play the fool. You here acting like, isn't it good to see strong Black actresses? Not at the expense of showing slave traders. Not the slave traders that traded my family, your family, others' families into the ocean. I need to have it today. This is ridiculous. Let's explode. So we are talking, let's make sure, about The Woman King. We are talking about the movie called The Woman King. They called a movie about the people who traded your families into slavery, Woman King, and you are all right with it. Your family all right with it. Your auntie, your mama, your sister, your brother. Everybody acts like this is a game. This is not a game. This is the moment where you decide whether you're going to survive mentally, physically, structurally, socially, and it's okay if you think it's a game. For those people that don't know and don't have context, myself, Yvette Carnell, created a discussion around American descendants of slavery that led to the national reparations discussion you're having today. You can Google for yourself. Y'all kept asking for solutions, so we gave you solutions. This is the response to the solutions, to re-anchor Pan-Africanism, to re-anchor history. They tell us it's fictional, based on a true story, then recreate the story without the truth. Can we talk? Can I talk about this Woman King? I'm going to share this through tweets, but you have to understand that a few weeks ago, I did a video showing you there is no Woman King without Dora Milaje from Wakanda. There is a consequence for the things that you call fictional. You tell me that Dora Milaje was fictional, but it led to Woman King being on screen. The only women in Africa that protected a king were the Dahomey, and they put them in Black Panther, and now they made them real with Woman King, and we still talking about, I just want to see it. Let me look with one eye, and then I'm going to come back and act like I don't understand. That's all right. They got something for your family, for your kids, for your mama, for you. You ain't got no self-respect. This Woman King movie about the King of Benin and Dahomey women, warriors that traded our ancestors into the transatlantic slave trade, should have never been made. We all should boycott Woman King. Hashtag boycott Woman King. There was no hashtag boycott Woman King before I went and looked, before I started tweeting this. Hopefully you guys can at least do that. I know that in your lifetime, you have not seen people make signs and stand in front of nowhere. I know that in your lifetime, you have not been part of your civic institutions demanding rights and privileges. You wait until the water ain't there or until the unemployment's cut. No, your work starts before then. I know that in your lifetime, you use hashtags for viral videos. What I'm telling you is if this boycott can't be made, you might as well pack it up. Because what they're making is a movie that disrespects your lineage. And if you ain't got lineage, you ain't got nothing. I can put $1 million in your pocket, but if you ain't got lineage, you ain't got nothing. Can I talk? Can we talk about it? They got something for y'all. That DoorDash, that Uber, just don't complain. So they got them on the cover of Essence, like this is some kind of powerful movie. What about Viola Davis said? If you want to see black superheroes, I don't want to see no slave traders as black superheroes. I don't want to see black. I want to see ADOS. Ain't that the same? Nope, it's not the same. I want to see stories that look at American descendants of slavery. How about that? You can make the strong argument that Woman King is the most offensive movie to black Americans in over 30 years. I would say over 40 to 50, actually. From Wakanda Black Panther warriors to Dahomey Woman King, the Woman King explained in that video, I connect the dots. I'm not going to go into Wakanda as much as the Woman King in this video. You can go watch that one if you like. We in here. Support the channel. Press the like. Y'all know how they doing me. Y'all know how they doing us. We're seeing the reality of the consequence of things like misinformation and all kind of nonsense. So we got to be our own media. We got to do the work because obviously the NAACP didn't get the message that this movie should have been boycotted. Obviously, what the NAACP don't understand their charge. And if they don't understand their charge, maybe we need the ADOS Foundation. Come on, vet. So part of the reason they made this movie is y'all wore this costume. Can we go? So y'all sat up and wore a costume about the Dora Milaje that was paying tribute to the Dahomey women, and then y'all bought so many costumes that they sold out, and that now they're gonna make a movie about the real Dahomey. Y'all was wearing this costume last Halloween, out here looking like the people that traded you into slavery. Oh, that's fictional. Well, we went from fictional to very real because this woman, this producer, realized that y'all love this stuff. You love it. 310-388-3499 to hear you call in. I know you like, who is that? That's not Woman King. That ain't Viola. That's not these women. This is the woman that made the project possible. I'm going to leave it on screen, let you read. You can see it right here. Woman King. She ain't lowest rate, nothing else. Maria Bello gained widespread acclaim for her convincing portrayal of a complex, smart, and often damaged female characters. Actress lady. She made this movie. But what's more important is they released the story on the Hollywood Reporter 4 weeks ago. Come on. They released the story 4 weeks ago on the Hollywood Reporter. What story, Tom? What story are you talking about? I'm talking about this one. And we're going to go into it. The Woman King producer, Maria Bello. And in the story, if you open it up, you find out this is her brainchild. Y'all watching a movie about slave traders that traded your family into slavery, made by this white woman here. And she didn't say she collaborated, and even if she did, I don't care. But she said this is her brainchild, and that this is about bringing African stories to the forefront. Again, I'm gonna say something because everybody, including her, seems really confused. Africa is not a country. Say it with me in the chat. Africa is not a country. I know you get confused because in a map it looks the same. I need this simpleton way of thinking to get better, or we can't go nowhere. Africa is not a country. Can somebody type that in the chat? Because Pan-Africanism presumes it, the lady presumes it, everybody gives it the qualities of a country. Then when you say it's not a country, they say, I understand. Well, you don't understand because the map confused you. How did it confuse you, Tom? Thank you, North, for putting it in the chat. Look at this map for a second. They look similar. If you've never been to Africa, I've been. It looks like the same contextual meaning. You know how you have a fruit, which is a banana, an apple, and an orange? This looks similar. The problem it's created is that you guys have created an orientation. Let's talk about it. Where Africa operates like America. So these are all states, you guys. This is Texas. This is California. This is Florida. And this is one country with a federal government. This, let's go back. Y'all got to see people looking like Africans. Come on. This here is a very disconnected, and I can't communicate it to you because you ain't been there. When I say different money, different language, boundaries where they keep people out, you got people killing people from other places just 10 miles apart because they don't want to share no resources. This is a continent with 52 countries. But because it looked the same, y'all use a word and then say you're not meaning a country, but you use it in the context of a country, Africa. And that's what this lady's doing. This is a country. This is a continent with a lot of countries. Don't tell me that you're going to do a food festival, like this lady said, in Kenya, which is East Africa, and then start talking about the Dahomey, which is West Africa, and then just mask it all up by the fact that you're talking about Africa. Yeah, you can do that with America because it's Florida, and then there's California. You can't do that with Africa. God damn, these people are, it's like we're struggling. Because the map done confused us because we ain't never been there. So we just, I'm African. I'm not. This is a continent. Stop wearing earrings from Ethiopia. Got footwear from Nigeria. Got South African t-shirt on. You got stuff from all around the globe. You just saying I'm global. Can we talk? 54. You count Zamunda and Wakanda? Come on, Ian. You can't count Zamunda and Wakanda. Them ain't real. Oh. So let's read what she said in the Hollywood Reporter. She said it right here. I want to get it clear. So Maria Bello says, what I'm about to read right here, what sparked you to produce and develop The Woman King? Again, this movie should have never been made. This movie is highly offensive. This movie should be not taken out of theaters. We've seen it done before. But our orgs, our families, our communities are on fire, and we don't know what started it. You can't make this up. This is a quote. The Woman King was definitely born of my love of the continent. What did I just tell you? This woman done made Africa into a country. But how can you not when you got this? Hold on. Y'all done seen them wearing the cloths. She done made Africa into a country. She gonna make it into a country. I don't care. When I see it on the map, it looked like a country, so it's a country. These are all countries inside of a continent. This is one country. If you want to make a story about Chad, make a story about Chad, then you got to do the work. If you want to make a story about Kenya, make a story about Kenya, then you got to do the work. Stop telling us this nonsense about Africa. You might as well be saying, I want to make a world story. Come on. Can we talk? Can I bring it home now? 310-388-3499. Don't call in here if you don't watch this movie, though. Telling me that you got the early show. Think it come out this afternoon, tonight, or something like that. Come on. Whew. You can't make this up. Let me read to you what this woman said. Oh, actually, let's read it directly from the Hollywood Reporter so we don't mess her quote up. The Woman King was definitely born of my love of the continent in general. It's based on women's history. Hold on. The Dahomey were slave traders. We're gonna get into it later with the history, because obviously she didn't do that basic work. Viola didn't. They said this is women's history. This ain't about no women's history. The Woman King, and this is Maria Bello's words to the Hollywood Reporter, the Woman King producer, Maria Bello, says more stories should be told from Kenya and across Africa, from Florida and across America, from California and across America. She don't understand that that's a continent. She has no grasp that she just said, yeah, world stories should be told. From Australia to Tokyo, from Ukraine, if you want to bring them up, from Ukraine to South Central Los Angeles. World stories. What did you just say? Empty nothingness. The Woman King. Come on. Princess said they were her property. Y'all remember that book? 40% of the slave owners in America were white women. White women inherited more slaves than the men because they felt like they could give them the slaves instead of the land. But this was women's history. The Woman King. The Woman King was definitely born of my love of the continent. I'm going to zoom out. I'm going to make sure we see her when I read this. Whew. In general, the Woman King, I'm sorry for repeating this, because when I get to the end, it's a slapper. The Woman King was definitely born of my love of the continent in general. It's based on women's history, not Adolf's history, not Black history, not even her beloved Africa's history. It's based on women's history, so that's her history. So she can make it malleable as she wants to, which she has done, and which you have allowed, and which you need to boycott. A story I found many years ago. She found it years ago. I found many years ago about this army of women in the 17th century. I was watching Braveheart, and I was like, why isn't there a women's movie like this? So she made the Dahomey into a women's Braveheart and threw it at you like nothing but trash. Let me read it again. I was watching Braveheart, and I was like, why isn't there a women's movie like this? That's what sparked her to produce this. She don't care that these are slave traders. She don't care the impact it has on your family. She don't care that it's disrespectful. She don't care. I need you to understand how awful this is. We might as well slow down and stop talking about this reparations. Because if you don't understand this, ain't no point in talking about that. If you don't, let me slow this down because y'all got me heated. Let me contextualize this. Let me contextualize this and come back. The Lost Hitler sitcom that caused outrage. They took this off the air after one episode. The Jewish organizations got involved. They said this disrespect cannot be allowed on TV. This is the BBC. This is an article from 2020. They can't even find the episodes. They didn't hit it so bad. It's the one series that has never been aired in full, but I get asked about it even now more than any other TV show Atkinson tells BBC Culture. Everybody has an opinion on it. It's hardly surprising given that show is a sitcom about Adolf Hitler's domestic life entitled Hell Honey, I'm Home. From the gasp-inducing title part spelled out in the official Nazi Frank tour, to the actual concept, a jolly Hitler and Eva Braun clash with their Jewish next-door neighbors in a stylized parody of 1950s U.S. sitcoms. Archie Bunker and the like, George Jefferson and the like. The show was bound to cause controversy, and so it did. When it appeared on the program lineup of the British Satellite Broadcasting, BSB network, among those who denounced it was Britain's biggest Jewish organization, the Board of Deputies of British Jews. We are against any trivialization of the Second World War, Hitler, or the Holocaust. We are against, and I stand with them myself, as they should stand with us, but they can't stand with us because our orgs ain't said nothing. Boycott Woman King. We are against any trivialization of the Second World War, Hitler, or the Holocaust. Let me say it my way. We are against any trivialization of the transatlantic slave trade. The show was swiftly canceled after one episode, leaving it as a strange footnote in TV history that subsequently found itself branded perhaps the world's most tasteless situation comedy. These days, it has reached a level of infamy that means it is still regularly discussed in incredulous terms on respective programs. That's the way this should be remembered. That's the way Viola Davis' performance should be remembered. That's the way this should go down. But y'all got to do the work. And if you don't do the work, hey, man, Uber waiting for you. So is Grubhub and all the other stuff that comes with just being disrespected. As a worker, as a person, as a community, services cut, all that. You gotta have self-respect. This is one of the people who produced this film about the Dahomey in Benin for an ADOS audience to watch. The Woman King producer, Maria Bello. She just standing here in an African village or something. I don't know how appropriate, man. If this is just not the wildest thing that I've seen in our time, I don't know what is. Woo! Yeah, they got to see it. This is how they see it. They watch it like this, and then they say, "Oh, I didn't know that she was a." Or they watch it like this. They say, "Well, she performed good though." Ain't got no self-respect. Ain't got no self-respect. This is the lady that made the Woman King. So let me make it clear. Going back to you, they show you this. They should have sat her right here. Like she should be right. Actually, she should be here, and Viola and this lady should be sitting here. And it should say, "All hail the Woman Kings." It's women's history. It's women's history. Y'all want to buy that cover? How come she ain't on the cover? This lady. I'm just saying to you, can we do it? Can we talk about it? They should put this picture right in the middle of this one and be like, the Woman Kings, women's history, essence. Thank you so much, Perfect Your Purpose. Appreciate the support. Appreciate the support for this channel, for this discussion. I also want people to call in. North, call in. Princess, call in. Let me know what you think. I know this is a shocking thing because it's like your family wanted. This is too deep. I don't know what Tone and Yvette and ADOS be talking about, and it's you thinking too much. You ain't got no self-respect. Just don't be mad when they cut your services, huh? The Woman King producer, Maria Bello, says more stories should be told from Kenya and across Africa. The actress, who has been going to the country since her ER days, talks about going to the country. So we switch from Africa to, since her ER days, talks about her love of the country and launching a food festival there this fall with fiance Dominique Cream. 310-388-3499. So she done used this movie about these slave traders and this supposed black superhero lady to sell herself as an African food expert. Talk about it. Can you see it? You've been journeying through Africa. This is all the same article for half your life. What keeps drawing you back? We again give Africa the qualities, let's talk about it, of a country. Then we say we understand it's not a country, but we gave it the qualities of a country. Lines are filling up, call in. The continent offers itself up to your imagination. Let me say this, listen to that line. The continent offers itself up to your imagination. What this woman is saying is that I'm just going to make up what this place is. I'm going to make the homies a woman's story. I'm going to disregard that I'm trying to sell it to an audience that they traded into slavery. And I'm going to make my imaginative place called Africa into a country. I'm so excited about what's going on. It's quite a stereotype that all of Africa is one big safari, but it's not. There are thriving, beautiful cities, and people lump them into all into one. But she's using Africa. She's not telling us about no tribes, no languages, no specific foods. She using Africa like America, United States. Oh, it's Africa, but it's not. It's so diverse with so many distinct cultures and foods and music. I almost exclusively listen to Afro beats now since my friends' kids turned me to Burner Boy from Nigeria. This is a game for her. Y'all better make it real. Caller, what's your name? Where you calling from?
Hello?
What's your name? Where you calling from?
Oh, hey, my name's David. I'm calling from Austin. One thing a lot of people forget, I typed it into the chat, is Maria Bello, she acted as a Nazi secretary in Hogan's Heroes movie. You know, and you can say, okay, that's kind of trivial, but actually it's not. You see what kind of character that she likes to play. And for her to trivialize black people's history, you know, this is the type of person she is. You can't take it lightly.
Can I ask you a question? What you think about her, about them making this movie, her, Viola, and the fact that nobody's saying nothing but us? People are like, you're saying that the boycott started with you. Hold on, because everybody jumping in late. Look at this. In 2018, I wrote a piece called African Americans Are More Than Africans in America. In that piece, I'm talking about the Dahomey and contextualizing Dahomey traded slaves. That's before Maria Bello even knew about the Dahomey, probably. We've been talking about this, and this is coming as a consequence of ADOS being on the top of the New York Times. This is a consequence of a demand for what we are doing. Now, if you mix it up enough, ain't no demand. Go ahead, tell me what you think of the movie.
Well, personally, I think I know about the Dahomey before even the Wakanda movie came out. The movie,
Yeah.
I know about them before. The problem is ADOS. We don't know our history.
Come on.
And sometimes we make it a party, but now we know our history. And any ADOS that would go to see this movie is just willfully ignorant. And what you were saying, you asked me a question earlier about Viola Davis. We need to hurt her pockets about this too, because she knows that. They're carrying this feminist movement too far. It's too far. And she knows better because I don't know what to say about it. It's just upsetting me.
Man, thank you so much for calling. I got a full queue. You started off right. Let me take another caller. Caller, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, it's North.
North, look. I want to read something to you on screen. Somebody said their mama wants to go see it regardless. What do you do if your mama don't care that they making a slave trader movie? Everybody got to answer that on their own. He said, I told my mother, this is not for BS. It's on screen now. I told my mother all this, even sent her a video. She said she still want to go see it. Well, when your eyes and your knees hurt, when you got issues and you don't understand how that connects to your lineage and the lack of reparative justice and how we can't anchor a political discussion because you want to go see a movie, you got to own that. Give me your take on the movie and everything.
Well, as I said earlier, I personally believe, that this was, of course, on purpose. I think that they were prepping ADOS for this piece of shit movie with Wakanda, with Black Panther. I think that's what that was. So, because everybody, and they got exactly, Hollywood got exactly, and whatever other power structure, they got exactly what they wanted when they saw, ADOS folks participating with the costumes and going to see the movie and all of these other things, and not just dressing themselves, but indoctrinating their children with this mess as well.
Let me say this. I think that it went the other way. I think that because ADOS overreacted and did not react responsibly to the fact that the Dora Milaje, which we made clear years ago, that the Dora Milaje were a doorway to a mirage. We made that clear 5 years ago, 4 years ago, and nobody really understood because they said it's fictional. You had Nicole Hannah-Jones. She talking about, oh, well, Wakanda is fictional. This, how do you think you get here? I believe that there was so much fervor amongst particularly Black women over the Dora Milaje that they feel like they can make this. You can't allow them to make a movie that tributes the Dahomey and then not expect the Dahomey. Let me say that one more time. You can't allow them to make a movie in the sense of the Dora Milaje. The only women that protected the king in Africa were the Dahomey. They were they were based out of the Dahomey, whether you accept it or not. Then you get the Dahomey. What do you think happens after the Dahomey, though? Oh, you might get some real mess on top of this. Go ahead.
And that's the point that I was getting at. Because they have those women in that movie, which were a vestige of Dora Milaje, just like you said, that's what I was getting at. They press us, or AEOS, if you will, with that. Because not only that, it wasn't like it was any kind of context given behind this stuff. Only certain people knew within ADOS that that's who those people were. But you could tell that's what happened if you had grown-ass people running around out here in those costumes, dressing their children, they're at the box office, all of that type of stuff. You can't convince me otherwise. And the next thing that I want to hear is I don't appreciate Viola coming with some old feminist bull crap. Okay, she does not speak to me. I don't think she speaks for other AOS women either. That you're gonna pass this movie off as some sort of empowerment when AOS women is worth $5 in this country. Nobody needs your symbolism.
Well, they all in agreement, North. She said, what do you think about this quote? She said, the Woman King, this is the producer, Maria Bello. She the producer. She probably found the money, all that to make this movie. It's her idea too. Let's be clear. What this statement means, what sparks you to produce and develop? She says, I was watching Braveheart and I was like, why isn't there a woman's movie? I found, understand how many eyes there are here. I found many years ago this story about the army of women in the 70s. This is her movie. So you watching her movie. How about that? So all y'all that's watching right now, if you need something real basic because you don't understand lineage, you can't talk to me no more about interracial dating, about white women oppressing, if you don't understand that this woman made this movie that disrespects your family. So she made this movie and she says, and I want to read it to you and you give me your take. The Woman King was definitely born of my love of the continent in general. It's based on women's history. Tying back to what you said about Viola, this is an agreement that we're going to make this about women. I found many years ago about this army of women in the 17th century. I was watching Braveheart and I was like, why isn't there a woman's movie? What's your take?
So at the end of the day, I'm waiting for these supposedly, and I'm just seeing a lot of AOS supposedly feminine. I'm trying to figure out when do you all want to connect the dots that these white women are using you? Like what you are. Let me describe to you what you are. What you are is a puppet sitting on these people's knees. They are whatever his name was, Dan Geppetto, whoever he was, the person controlling the puppet. That's who you are. You are the person being controlled, sitting on their knees. You just say and do whatever they ask you to do, and you willingly do it. Like that. It's just like this shit is bizarre, Tone. It's just bizarre.
Well, I mean, it's a mutation of how we developed without ADOS. ADOS as a lineal connection to you're not just black in this country. Just like people are Nigerian, Jamaican, and Haitian, and we respect that, you are ADOS. Hundreds of years. Not like 5 years or one generation. Your parents was in Nigeria. No, you're just ADOS in this country. It's like telling somebody, showing them fire for the first time. Yeah, I'm gonna let you go, North. Thank you so much for calling in. Northland came through and dropped that knowledge. We're gonna keep going. Caller, what's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, Tom.
Hey, what's up? What's your name? Where you calling from?
Yes, this is Cynthia from Montgomery County, Ohio. How are you this evening?
I'm all right. I want to ask you a question, Cynthia. So I'm gonna let you talk about the movie, but do you think that this creates some of the confusion? Because I said it earlier and I firmly believe it. I think it's a failure in mapping in how they show Africa in context of how they show America. It doesn't allow people to understand this as countries. It allows them to see it as a continent. It's almost like they should I don't know how they could do it, but like maybe America should all be one color. Always. It should always be all one color, and then this should be like all these colors. Because people are crazily thinking and giving the characteristics of a country, of a singular culture, of a singular language, of a singular style of dress to a continent. You look at these people like Boyce and like Roland, and they talking about going back to Ghana, and they got the kente cloth on. They got this is part of the anchoring of this movie. You got Roland in a long dress kind of thing. I'm not here to disrespect him or Boyce, but what I am here to say is fact checking. Yes, kente cloths were historically worn by empire involved in West African slave trade. Huh. Yesterday, the Democrats wore kente scarves and knelt down for their photo op. So check this out. Kente cloth was worn by the Ashanti. It's made of silk, so the affluent wore it. The Ashanti were also known as slave owners and traders. Wait. But we gonna wear it.
Right.
We gonna garb ourselves up with it like it's some representation of ascension, of knowledge of self. Again, we're talking about a continent. You can tie it all in how you feel. You can start with the Woman King. Floor is yours.
Okay, well, I'm just going to say this. Most of us here have been, we've been doing the work. We've been doing the political work. People that, and I see some folks in the chat saying some real suspicious things, but we're at political education 201 and above. It's very disrespectful, and I've said it before, when we were talking about this a couple of months ago, the Jewish community would not allow this type of tomfoolery. They would not. And Africa, you're right, is a continent. And part of social engineering is to manipulate people's minds to believe that it's a country and that we're all one. And, chitty chitty bang bang and kumbaya and all that other stuff. My silent generation aunt, I was talking to her about the plight of ADOS, and she was really upset, and and she believes in this ideology that we're all the same, but we're not. ADOS is lineage based, and these types, and we're going after these types of disinformation because these are the types of media that informs people's thinking. So we have to, push back against them. So I'm just going to land my plane there.
Thank you so much for calling. You landed it right. Man, today I'm calling for hashtag Boycott Woman King. I'm calling for the boycott because it's a defensive film. You can stand with me, you can stand on the side, you can go watch the movie. But there's no way that there isn't a consequence for going to watch this movie. It is patently disrespectful of American descendants of slavery. Caller, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, what's up, Tom? This is Freeman in Dallas. How you doing, brother?
I'm good, man. I'm just looking at this thing. Let me share something else, Freeman, before I let you go, because I know you're gonna come with something. Somebody named Terra Firma put up something powerful. They put up something powerful. I bet you can't guess, Freeman. What they put up is a part of the plot that's on IMDb. They're gonna make these people into slave freers. They're gonna make them into emancipators. Huh. So we go back to Harriet, and they had a black man chasing Harriet that never existed. Then they tell us it's a movie, so you can't be critical. Huh. Now we got black Dahomey women that were part of a community, a tribe that traded us into slavery, and they're going to be slave freers. They're going to be emancipators. They might as well go on and call this Harriet. You know how they do it, Harriet the Dahomey. According to IMDb, Maria Bello co-wrote film screenplay with Dana Stevens as well. Together, they created a fictional conflict where Viola's character opposed slavery. Let me say that again. Together, they created a fictional conflict where Viola's character opposed slavery. In reality, Dahomey reveled in it, even slaughtering 800 captured Africans in this movie. Whew. Let me read the actual IMDb, and then I'm going to open the floor to you. In the film, Nanasika, confronts Gazo about Gazo being the king about the immorality in the film. Nasika confronts Gazo about the immorality of selling black slaves to the Portuguese and suggests trading in palm oil. They done made her into Harriet Tubman. They done made her into. They done took them and. But they gonna say it's just a movie. It's not. Talk about it.
Well, it's like you said, we might as well put reparations on the back burner until we get the foundational stuff figured out. I think the main thing is this, brother. ADOS, I think that there's being deprived of things leads you to be very vulnerable when people come around offering gifts. I think that that's the biggest problem with us. When you take a look at it on social media, what you see that there has developed, I guess among black Twitter is what people call it, and just black social media, there's developed a certain lexicon, a certain language that you see over and over, even with the backlash against the New Little Mermaid. There's a certain language that black people, I think, develop naturally as a coping mechanism, you know, kind of a defensive retreat into we'll accept anything that seems to put us in a good light.
Come on.
And they just run roughshod over it. And I think that the biggest thing, it's not single the sisters out, but if you notice it, our sisters are at the forefront of that attack. The need to feel beautiful, to be viewed as being worthy and beautiful physically in a society that has always deprived them of that. I think that anything that is brought to them, they will swallow it, everything that they bring them. And I think Viola Davis and people like that are very dangerous. If we were in other countries, most other people, they solve situations like this with physical.
And I'm not advocating that. I'm not advocating that. I want to be clear.
No,
but I do
not,
think.
No, yeah, he's not. And I was about to say that. I should have prefaced with that. He's not. We don't do that. That's not in our spirit. But what I'm saying is that when you notice that those people in situations where they can say, "Hey, you show that movie, we're gonna do something to that theater."
Yeah,
hey,
at this level,
or whatever.
It's just awful that they made this movie. In my view, everybody got their own. Yeah. I want to share something else. Princess said something. Princess 6, they were forced to trade palm oil after Europeans got out of the flesh trade. It goes further. It goes further than that, P. The history of the kingdom of Dahomey, I'll probably pull this up in the final version. In 1851 to 1852, the British imposed a naval blockade on the ports of Dahomey in order to force them to end the slave trade. In January of 1815, Gazo accepted a treaty with the British ending the export of slaves. So it took white folks to tell these people to stop trading slaves. It took white folks to tell them to stop. Where's that in the movie? Since we talking,
you won't see it. No, you won't see it, brother. It's selective. They're going to be selective in what they actually put out there. I mean, if we had a lot of time, we could go back through the history of Hollywood and see the type of selective production that is present there. But I mean, like you say, it is a situation. The thing we need is, I guess, the Jews, the Hebrews have like groups where if you put something on TV, you got to run it by them first. A lot of
but this is the problem. This is the problem. We're a totally wealthless group projecting wealth. So what happens is we have actresses and actors that are supposed to say no to things that are scripts this way don't. We got an NAACP that is dead silent, but they weren't silent here. They were silent when we were suing in the Supreme Court for basic rights that would lead to media ownership. They was there for immigration and left on the day Byron's case was heard. And I'm talking about our case, which in the context of civil rights. Understand the level of what happens next to you. And it's just like everybody just got to be ready. You got to understand they made a movie and reoriented these people to have a sense of immorality around selling slaves. Let me let you know how crazy that sounds. They traded slaves for hundreds of years. They would not feel it's immoral, no different than you feel it's immoral to sell your own stove or your own couch. I don't think we orient how they saw us. See, I need you guys to go read something. There's an article in the New Yorker called My Great-Grandfather, the Nigerian Slave Trader. In it, it talks about a woman finally getting honest. This is the New Yorker. This is not some kind of small piece. And what she talks about is how her great grandfather was buried with slaves that were still alive. And I'm talking, you gotta understand, we're not talking a long time ago. And I think that what we have to understand is our orientation of the world is not the world's orientation. This is the kingdom of Dahomey. This is Nigeria. This is the kingdom of Dahomey. This is Nigeria. This is the ocean. You do the math. I'm going to let you go right now, caller. I want to come to some more people. Thank you so much for calling.
Yes,
Woo, that brother was on fire too. Great callers. Queue is full. I'm gonna take a few more callers just to let people get their chests off. But I want to read something historically about the Dahomey just to be clear that we are doing real academic work here. We're not here just to say boycott Woman King. We're here to understand why we need to boycott it so that we can move forward. The history of the Kingdom of Dahomey. The Kingdom of Dahomey existed from circa 1600 till 1904 within what is presently known as Benin. Understand that's 300 years of slave trade. The area was initially settled by the Fawn people, a Gib ethnic group that still exists today. They took residence on the Dahomey Plateau, establishing a king to rule over them. It wasn't until their third king, Hababaji, I apologize for the pronunciation, came into power in 1645 that the collective truly began to organize and hone their power. Under his influence, administration and religious practices, their dominant religion was Vodun, got a firm foundation as they did what any kingdom must do to establish its dominance and authority, conquer nearby areas. By the 18th century, the kingdom of Dahomey was on a path of success, growth, and expansion. Much of this came from the abysmal practice of slave trading, which they did with the European traders. It was a matter of either enslave others or become enslaved. That's a cop-out. They traded slaves at a massively high level. According to Skip Gates, Henry Louis Gates, they traded around 20% of all of the slaves. Around 20%. And I need you guys to understand that this don't make no sense. Caller, what's your name? Where you calling from?
Oh, hello, can you hear me?
What's your name? Where you calling from?
Oh, hey, this is Stephen Dale. The D stands for discernment. I'm out here in Los Angeles, and my first time ever calling in. So
Thank you.
I got to give you your flowers. So thank you so much for your work and your motivation, and for leading us in this fight. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. What's your take on this movie being put out?
This movie is horribly disrespectful. And it reminds me of, it takes me back to a statement that Ms. Yvette made recently about how there are aggressive attempts to reset the conversation back to flat blackness. And I believe that this movie is Hollywood's way of bringing out the big guns to continue to do what the previous movies with. Like there's a reason Cynthia Erivo's not in this movie. There's a reason that what's the man's name? Mr. Note and Queen and Slim. There's a reason he's not in this movie. There's a reason because their movie flopped. And of course Adolf got ahead of it. And so to frame the conversation from your work, from Ms. Yvette's work, and to add that context as to why they shouldn't have been elevated into those spaces. And so they brought out one of our greats, Viola Davis.
Can I share something with you guys as well, with you as well? I think you can hear it. Let me see if you can hear it. This is a clip.
All the slaves that came to the New World came from the Bight of Benin, from this very region. And the slave trade here was run far longer than any other aspect of the slave trade, all the way to 1885. So they knew what they were doing.
So that's Henry Louis Gates, and what he actually says is the exact quote is basically that almost 20% of the slaves came from Benin. This is awful that they made this movie. My hope would be that we able to galvanize, and you really should push on your NAACP to answer to this. Any last thing you want to say to the audience?
I agree. I agree with that notion. I mean, these organizations were built for us. and I know they haven't been doing their job at all, CBC included, but they're ours, and it's our job to force them to do that. Project Takeover is not over, and and I encourage everyone to stay informed. And if there's some things that you don't understand or you just can't quite get, just ask questions. Just ask. We all here. We all we got. So much love and shout out to Adolph, nationwide, and to those allies we do have. Much love and appreciation. Thank you for taking my call.
Thank you. That was a great call. Let me let something go by so it's not in the background when I do the final edit. We got another caller. I'm going to take that caller in a second. I want to get everybody a chance to get their voice off their chest. Again, I'm calling for boycott this movie. I don't even know why they made this movie, but God help you if you go see it, Caller, what's your name? Where you calling from? Somebody said they love the woman empowerment. I bet you did. The problem is that it's slave traders, so nobody cares about it. Caller, what's your name? Where you calling from? Hello?
Hi, this is Mrs. Ford in the chat. Can you hear me?
Yes, I hear you. What's your take on this movie? I'll let you end out the show.
Oh, okay. So one of the things that I wanted to share that people may not be aware of is that Viola Davis's best friend is a white woman. I don't know her name. And that's not necessarily a bad thing in and of itself, but I think it does kind of help inform or make people pause, because when she's in the media, she's often portrayed with her, handsome black husband. But if she was married to a white man, then it may be perceived differently, and your, best friend or person you grew up with does have influence on you.
Well, so but let me say this to your point. In certain instances, you don't need to go that far. And in this particular one, because we know who the producer is, it don't even matter who her best friend is. This lady made this movie. She made this movie because she wanted to do a female Braveheart. She could care less that it's about slave traders. And then she kept talking about Africa as though it's a country. So Viola agreed to do her movie, this woman's movie. And it came from her mind. She went on. It wasn't a bunch of people on the Hollywood. It was about her by herself on the Hollywood Reporter. So once we know it's her, why would you go watch this movie? Why would you go watch?
Well, I wouldn't. I wouldn't watch the movie. I'm not going to watch the movie. Yeah. But I'm just saying it may give insight into why she would allow it to happen. Because I think that because so many people see themselves in her just physical image of her being a strong black woman, then sometimes you assume how people may or may not move. And we just can't make those assumptions.
All right.
But the other thing.
Oh, go ahead.
The other thing that I wanted to add that's important to say is that I see a lot of people online saying that the Dahomey participated in the slave trade, and they did. But it's also important to note that they also murdered and terrorized. It's documented in Zora Neale Hurston's book that she did. I forget the title of it, but it was one of the last people that came over on the Clotilde, and he remembered being kidnapped and terrorized by them specifically. So people can actually read about that, including some of the articles that you shared. So
what's a trip is they now have a movie where they have recasted this woman that's part of the Dahomey as emancipator. I mean, it's just absolutely insane that they made this movie. The offense level that black people should have is off the charts. Again, I don't advocate anything in terms of physical violence, but y'all should be in front of them theaters with some picket signs. I mean, I feel that way. It's that level when you got something like this. But I mean, some of y'all got friends and got mamas that's gonna watch this, and you can't even get them to stop. So I understand. Caller, thank you so much for calling in. This is a pivotal moment for Black America. Black America got to decide. Either you exist or you don't. And what I'm feeling is this movie is one of the most offensive in 40 to 50 years. It's right up there. And the fact that they're now championing this movie and not dealing with the fact that it never should have been made is even more offensive. This is Tone Talks. Please go to tonetalks.org, subscribe or donate, share this video. We got to have a discussion because everybody else is out here praising, playing, and watching this movie this weekend. Thank you.